Alright, so hello everyone, and welcome to another video. So, this is going to be about, as you probably saw in the title, the 1992 Maxell Jukebox 10. Now, what exactly is this cassette? Why did Maxell make this? Well, when it comes to why, I don't really know either. But let me just really quickly talk about what this cassette is and where it was sort of situated in Maxell's lineup. So, in 1992, Maxell released the Jukebox. This was, for some reason, only available in 10-minute and 20-minute cassettes. So, when you have a Maxell Jukebox, it could only be a Jukebox 10 or a Jukebox 20. Now, these were often sold in 5 packs, but there are some which could be bought, just as individual cassettes, but most people bought them as 5 packs. Now, this tape, I assume, or based on my understanding, is basically just going to be the same as a usual Maxell UR because it was priced very cheaply at the time. And at the same time, I still don't know why exactly these tapes were made. Based on the name Jukebox, I can only imagine, because these were only released in Japan, I can only imagine that these were sort of centered towards people who were more, I suppose, more into karaoke than listening to regular music. So I'm guessing that these tapes were either sold for recording individual karaoke tracks, because it's 5 minutes per side, or 10 minutes per side for the 20. Or it could be for recording musical demos if you're an artist, because most cassette singles or casingos were usually, basically 10-minute tapes. So, how about we take a look at this tape itself, this 5 pack. So, first you have Maxell Jukebox 5 pack, some Japanese characters I can't read, and 10 for 10 minutes. If you look up here, it's basically just the same thing. Maxell Jukebox, Japanese characters, JB10 was the product code, and JB10 5P for the 5 pack with the barcode as well. On the side here, all of it is just Maxell JB10. Same thing on the other side. And on the very back, it says Jukebox and some more Japanese characters and some more. It says on the tape selector, you should say it's a normal tape, type 1, bias normal, EQ, 120 microsecond, just the usual. And it says here it's 10 minutes or 5 minutes per side. And then even more Japanese characters. Now, based on how it's wrapped here, it seems like every single tape is individually sealed, and then this 5 pack is just what keeps them together. So I'm glad that that is the case because I would like to keep some still sealed for my own collection. Compared to, something like the Sony HF from 1985, those ones were not individually sealed when they were sold in 3 packs or 5 packs, as you probably saw in my video from last year. So anyway, how about we open this up now? There's already one part that's already been torn off, so I'll just start from there. So let's just break open the 5 pack and unravel the tapes. Okay, let me get the other 4 out of here. I'll just get one of them. Alright, so let me just say it it has a very interesting smell out of the wrapper. I don't know. It seems like it smells like a smoker probably owned this because it reeks of tobacco. Anyway, yeah. the person who sold this to me was probably a smoker, the original owner. But anyway, let's look at this. So, Maxell jukebox, literally the same thing as before. On the back, again, the same thing. This wrapper is basically clear. Like, there is basically no difference between looking at it from the outside and from the inside here. Just a bunch of other Japanese characters. Again, product code JB10. This design over here, I would say it's a very cute design, to be honest. Very musical. But anyway, I guess that's it, you know. So how about we open this up? So I can see there's, you know, one of those usual thread things that you pull. So I will do that. I will open it if I can. Wow. It seems 31 years has not been kind to the wrapper. Okay. All right. So, Maxell jukebox. So, looking at the outside, it seems very, very simple. So let's open this up. Before we look at the tape itself, let's take a look at our J card here. Okay, the first thing I noticed right off the bat, which is very uncharacteristic of Maxell, is that for some odd reason, they don't have any stickers, and the J card here doesn't fold out into something more complex, which I find very weird. If you look at other Maxell cassettes, let me just try to find one. Here, for example, like the 1988 UR. If you look at this J card, see, it folds out, and it has stickers inside. So it's, I don't know, it's very, very interesting to me how this particular tape, the jukebox, has no stickers. But anyway, let's look at the J card first. So on the outside, it just says Maxell jukebox JB. Same thing here, Maxell JB, write your label there. Side A, side B, date, noise reduction, yes or no. Just all the usual stuff, really. And then some more Japanese here at the bottom, which, again, I cannot read. But yeah, it is very, very simple. On the other side here, it's literally the same thing. This very same design is just repeated on the other side. And then it also says Maxell JB. And again, some more Japanese characters, and then side A, side B, date, noise reduction, yes or no. It's, I cannot stress how simple it is. And what's even more surprising about this is that it's monochromatic. It's all just shades of green, which again I find incredibly, incredibly weird. But anyway, that's it for the J card. Let's look at the cassette itself. Again, it's a very simple tape. Look at this. Maxell jukebox 10, position normal type 1, side A, noise reduction, yes or no. That's it. With a bunch of music notes over here. Side B, same thing. Noise reduction, yes or no. And this shell reminds me a lot of another tape I often come across but still haven't featured on the channel. The Maxell LN. It seems I don't have any LN tapes with me right now, but I have come across a few of them. And the thing with these LN tapes is they're very... I'm not talking about the original LN, by the way, not the ones from the 70s or the 60s. I'm talking about the quote-unquote new LN. The ones with similarly clear shells, but also with these blue stickers and blue J cards, which were basically, I assume, old tape, just recycled tape from older batches. This reminds me a lot of that, such that, it has the monochromatic J card, it has the clear shell, the very simple label here. It's just, I I don't know, it feels very uncharacteristic of Maxell. It's not something you would think of when you think of Maxell, because usually Maxell, if you think of Maxell, you think of quality. But this, it's super light. The J card is so simple. It's it's really not like Maxell. But we'll see if it has the same quality as those usual Maxell tapes I mentioned once we do the audio test. But first, let's look at the actual tape that's in here. Now, the first thing that's striking to me is there's no leader. Like, no matter how much I try to rewind it, there is no leader tape. It is just all the usual ferric tape. And yeah, I find that very weird. But anyway, this tape is a very, very dark chocolatey brown. And again, it's very reminiscent of the UR. If I once again get a 1988 UR, if I can find one, I'm sure I have one somewhere here. Okay, here, I have one. If I get a 1988 UR and I wind it, and you compare the two tape colors, they are very, very similar. Yeah, they are both a very dark chocolatey brown. The only difference is the Maxell jukebox is it looks slightly redder than the Maxell UR. And that red sort of hue indicates that it's possible that the jukebox did not get as much cobalt doping as the Maxell UR. Because usually, if you have, for example, a pure ferric type 1, that tape would be very red and orange with a little bit of brown. But then as you add these extra chemicals like cobalt, those would, sort of create a less red color in the tape, which is why the 1988 UR has it's sort of a duller, less red brown than the jukebox. You can clearly see that the jukebox is redder than the UR. So yeah, it is possible that once again Maxell cheapened out on these jukebox cassettes and sort of took away some of the cobalt in the formulation of these. Either that, or it just recycled tape from previous batches. That's what I am assuming. That's my biggest assumption right here. That they're recycling previous tapes, because I doubt that Maxell would create a brand new formulation just for this cheaper batch of cassettes. So we'll see. We'll see in terms of how it sounds, if it's actually half decent. And with that said, I guess it's about time. So without further ado, how about we go into the audio test? Alright, so welcome to the audio test on my wonderful little Pioneer TD7 once again. So, let me grab our jukebox over here. Let's put that into the deck. And let's begin the auto calibration of bias levels and EQ. Now, while it's doing that, let me just talk about the track we'll be using today. It is called As You Were by Track Tribe on the YouTube audio library. I chose this track because, to me, it sort of sounds like a track that a band from Japan would want to would want to record and submit to a studio using one of these jukebox tapes. Like, that's how I imagine these tapes would be used back then in the early 90s when this was released. But I don't know, We'll see how the quality is anyway. So, this track is just a little under 2.5 minutes long, so it's fairly short. But I made this peak at around +1, but mostly 0, learning from my mistake from the last video where I sort of overloaded it a bit at +2. So, yeah, without further ado, let us begin the recording. So, what do I think about this cassette? Well, to me, that audio test earlier basically confirmed my suspicions that this is basically just a reshelled Maxell UR. Because the characteristics of the tape definitely resemble that of the older formulations of the UR, possibly from 85 or even 82. Because, first of all, the noise was pretty low, but not exceptionally low. Like, if you heard earlier at the end of the track, the moment the track faded out, you could just immediately hear quite a lot of noise that basically took up the whole rest of the tape. But it's nothing super intrusive. But when it comes to the song itself, the recording itself, it sounded fairly good, but this is quite typical of the older Maxell URs. You couldn't really push it past 0 dB, because you saw earlier in the tape monitor, it basically only peaked at plus 0.5, and even then, it was sort of already distorting a little bit. And aside from that, the highs weren't exceptional, but to be honest, for a Type 1, they are already quite decent. All of these sort of show that this Maxell jukebox is basically just a repackaged Maxell UR. So, yeah, that's it. I think it's a fairly good tape. You know, if you can find one for a decent price, and if you think you actually have a use for 10-minute cassettes in this day and age, go ahead, you know, do whatever you want. Go buy it. But to me, personally, with how I use my tapes today, I can't really find a use for this Maxell jukebox. The thing is, you know, I have a bunch of older Sony HFs. I'm not really older, but old Sony HFs. These 1999 HFs from a while back. I got these sometime last year, a big bunch of them. And for my personal use, I can't really find a use for them. That's why I just give them away as personal gifts to some of my friends every now and then if they have a birthday or something. I would record a short message on there and then bundle it with a mixtape I made from a different tape, usually a 90. But yeah, you know, in this day and age, you can't really. There isn't really much use for these shorter tapes. Though, really, if you think about it, there isn't really any use for tapes, period. So, who am I to judge? Anyway, that's about it for this video. Thank you very much for the positive reception on the previous video on the TDK CD Ing 2. I am very glad to know that, you know, you guys are still there and still watching. Even the, older people who've been commenting from a while back, even since several months ago, last year, and even 2 years ago. Yeah, I'm glad you folks are liking the videos, and this video should come out on January 1, 2024. So I would like to say I hope you all have a very, very happy new year. I've been doing well on my end, and yeah, I hope you folks are doing well on yours too. Really, I don't know what else to say. But I guess with that, we can end the video now. So that is it for the 1992 Maxell Jukebox 10-minute cassette. Now on the screen here, you should be seeing some videos that YouTube would recommend to you. And on the upper right corner, you should be seeing my playlist for all of my cassette reviews if you want to check out some more. So that's about it from me. And until the next video, goodbye.